ever since the coming to power of these three revolutionary government, mainstream media has not or have not reported on any of the victories by these armies of the AES. We also saw a lot of Africans, online parroting the propaganda of mainstream media and also international organizations and the NGOs that have spread misinformation or disinformation on what is happening on the ground in the AES. So we will give a few facts of what these leaders had to overcome and what they've achieved over the past few years since coming to power. So these armies, all three armies were under-equipped, disorganized. Even though these were brave soldiers, many military fell, you know, they fell on the battlefield, which is very honorable. And before I even go any further, I want to, you know, hope their soul rest in peace. Condolence to all those who have fallen in battle. I am a nobody, but still respect to all the fighters in the AES that are fighting for Africa and African people. But still, before coming to power, we'll start with Mali. Before the CNSP came to power, CNSP in Mali came to power. Present on Malian soil was, Munisma, Barkhane, which is the French-led force who claimed they came to fight terrorism, which we here will not refer to this as terrorism. This is international sponsored neo-colonial mercenaries. We saw the advancement of these mercenaries throughout the territory of Mali. The north was basically occupied. The city of Kidal was occupied by these mercenaries. The mass looting of natural resources, the mass unalivement of civilians, the mass destruction of property. The Malian army could not venture in the north. We saw that even for a leader of the government, the so-called, democratic government, for them to venture into the north, especially the northern city of Kidal, they had to ask permission from the French to go up there. And we see, massive attacks on the Malian army. There were times when, the Malian army was, in close contact with the enemy and was about to destroy the enemy, but they were prevented from destroying the enemy by the imperialist forces. So if we move to Burkina Faso, before the coming to power of the MPSR2, we know we had the MPSR1, which was, that Damiba guy. The government controlled less than 30% of the territory of Burkina. And there was rumors of, soldiers sharing weapons. Just like in Mali and even Niger, the military was under-equipped. They needed permission to buy certain weapons, and even weapons that they paid for till this day have not been, you know, delivered to the Burkina army or the Burkina government. They were being barred from purchasing weapons. These weapons, even some of these weapons that they tried to purchase themselves, were in the hands of these mercenaries. When the MPSR asked the French to leave, the French and other international forces, as repeated by the president in an interview, President Traore, all these sleeper cells around Burkina throughout Burkina Faso rose up. And there they realized that the problem was even bigger than they themselves saw. So the Burkinabe, you know, government reorganized and restructured its army. They searched out, as Mali did, they searched out for new partners. They acquired, basic equipment, rapidly created a few rapid intervention battalions. They also, mobilized the VDP. This is where regular people in the country will fight to defend the territory. These are volunteers for the defense of the homeland. If we move to Niger, before the coming to power of the CNSP, there were deadly attacks, as the same as in Mali, as in Burkina Faso, throughout on the defense forces and also on the population. We have to remember that these mercenaries don't just attack military targets, especially since recently they haven't been attacking military targets. They like to attack unarmed civilians. When there was an attack, the military needed permission from the French to retaliate or to attack or to reinforce, their brothers in arms. And this caused a lot of, damage and lives to the Nigerian army and also the population. So for the achievement or changes which have allowed these armies to go on the offensive, actually now these mercenary groups are on the back foot. They are severely weakened. We even saw that a lot of the videos that have been circulating online, they are recruiting, like child soldiers. And this is how dangerous imperialism is. So we see the new acquisition of, drones, armored vehicle, helicopters, a lot of equipment, and also the reorganization of these armies in Burkina Faso. There's up to 28 rapid intervention battalions to spearhead the fight against terrorism throughout the country. We also saw the creation of a AES force, joint force of about 5,000 men to spearhead the fight. Also, to fight terrorism. This is unheard of throughout Africa, even throughout the region. And if we talk about, there talk about victories. Every day there are victories being won by the armies of the AES in Mali. Even today, as I speak to you, there was a, you know, there was a major mercenary chief that has been put out of harm's way or put to eternal rest, like they say. And it's like every week there's been some notorious leader of the Islamic State has been, neutralized by the Malian armed force. Also in Burkina Faso, in Niger, if you see the bulletins of these, the report of these operation that's been going on, it's remarkably. And it's not only the strengthening of the military, the fighting forces, but also intelligence. We see the foiling of a lot of, mass destabilization attempts, and also, assassination attempts of the leaders of the AS, of course, and also, you know, key figures of these government. So the achievement of the AES in the military sphere is, in my opinion, is even more remarkable than the development aspect of it, because this fight is basically a fight against international sponsored, you know, mercenaries to, destabilize Africa and balkanize it, and also, cut up cut up us cut us up into smaller states that are weak, or even if the country itself is not, officially divided, it is de facto divided with, these weak central governments and so forth. So we see a lot of progress in the military spheres, and this is even more impressive if we look at the geostrategic um, implication of this. I spoke earlier about the sleeper cell being activated in Burkina Faso. If we look deeply into that, if we look deeper into that, Burkina Faso is central to West Africa. It borders so many countries. There are so many countries. If I'm not mistaken, it borders Benin, Niger, Ghana, Cote d'Ivoire, Mali, Togo. At least 6 countries borders Burkina Faso. So those sleeper cells were being held in reserve, where they were used as an attack dogs against all these, especially the coastal states in West Africa. And these will invite the imperialist army. Oh, we will come in, we will be stationed in your country, occupy this country to say we will help you fight these so-called terrorism, which is nothing but, mercenaries. So, ladies and gentlemen, I think, though we are looking at the the development aspect, like the development in agriculture, the development in industries throughout the AES, the creation of these, organization, these are welcome things, but we need to focus on also the military side of it, because at the end of the day, in geopolitics, normally nothing happens in a vacuum, and this so-called, terrorism in the Sahel, in West Africa, is not a coincidence. It's not by mistake. It's very strategic by the imperialists. It's their way to keep their forces in the region, to secure their mineral addiction, I would say, their mineral addiction, but also to destabilize countries in a way that the central government is so weak that they can, you know, get easy access to these resources. You can look at DRC. This is what Algeria was doing to Mali, except you have brave Malians, military men who stood up, saw the game that, countries like Algeria, 1 minute they're against France, but in the day they're against France, but at night they're working with the French to destabilize the region. So therefore, the rising power of the AES armies is welcome. We hope that this goes further. These armies continue to grow. We hope to see the establishment of, military industry and so forth, where, weapons are being produced rather than being imported all the time. But ladies and gentlemen, um, thank you so much for joining this video, for watching this video. Be sure to give us a like wherever you're watching us. Salute.